The cannabis gold rush is on. Legal, medical, and recreational marijuana comes to the Golden State Monday.
We're looking to expand into a 6,000 square foot dispensary because we think that we'll be able to serve close to 1,000 to 1,500 patients a day.
Today, Jared Kilo's medical dispensary, the Higher Path in suburban Los Angeles, serves about 200 people a day. He employs 25 full-time workers, making at least $18 an hour. With legalization, he expects to employ 70.
Just this year alone, or at least the 2017 harvest season, I tripled the size of my cultivation in an effort to be able to supply my increase as a dispensary.
The market in Los Angeles alone projected to be ginormous.
A Brazilian prison riot between rival gangs on New Year's Day led to the deaths of 9 prisoners. Another 14 were injured before prison officials regained control. 77 inmates remained at large on Tuesday. The Colônia Agro-Industrial Prison near Brazil's capital erupted in violence after a group of inmates attacked a prison wing housing rival gang members. The attackers set mattresses on fire, burned dead bodies, and used weapons. BBC reported that one victim was beheaded. Police said 106 inmates escaped, but 29 were recaptured. Local media reported that an additional 127 fled during the riot but returned voluntarily. Overcrowding and violence have gone hand in hand in Brazil.
It's been several days of unusually cold weather hitting parts of the United States. From Florida, the first snowfall for 30 years.
Can you believe this is Tallahassee, Florida?
Where wildlife not used to the temperature are having to be rescued. While over in Maine, flooding is also problematic.
While we were out here filming just moments ago, the ground underneath us collapsed.
Thousands of flights have been cancelled, schools have been shut, and parks closed in parts of New York State. Blocked roads, black ice, and power cuts mean a state of emergency has been declared, with up to 17 deaths being attributed to the weather.
A stricken Iranian tanker adrift in one of Asia's most important shipping lanes. What remains unclear is the environmental threat posed by its combustible cargo. But pictures on Chinese state television appear to show the fire is now under control. What's less clear is how much oil has so far been spilled. That is a worry for fishing communities along China's eastern coast. Some fear that a large oil slick could poison the waters on which they depend. 21 survivors of the collision, all from the Hong Kong freighter, the CF Crystal, were brought here after being rescued by local fishermen. One of those fishermen told us that their trawler had been close by when the tanker and the cargo ship collided. He said, "We heard a loud bang before the night sky was lit up." A short time later, he and the other fishermen were helping the crew of the CF Crystal out of a lifeboat.
It happened in minutes. Fire-scorched land couldn't hold the rain, so mud poured down from the Glendora foothills below.
It's havoc. It's bad. It's bad. It hasn't been this bad in a long time. It wasn't like this 20 minutes ago.
They're getting out while they can.
But you're not taking anything with you, you're just grabbing your dog?
Yeah, we got my laptop. I don't need too many things. Everything's gonna be fine. It's all replaceable.
Just a couple inches of rain, and you can see the effect here when the ground, which is burned by the fire, can't hold all of this. And something you'll notice, the debris, it shows it's been scarred by wildfire.
We need to make some plans to help get you out, okay?
Yeah.
1,000 homes are under a mandatory evacuation order because they sit below these scorched hills. 2 months ago, it was wildfire. Today, mud into their pools and backyards. California has been in drought for months. The sudden rain caught some by surprise.
6,000, a record high for the Dow Jones Industrial Average. It's only been a few trading sessions really since it hit 25,000, and this is pretty remarkable, these milestones. Again, the market is so high now at these lofty levels that percentage-wise, each one of these round numbers is almost less important because we just keep hitting them. Look, it took about 2 years to get from 18,000 to 19,000, and then there was the election. And since then, look, one after another. There hasn't even been on this chart, you guys, really a place to get into the stock market.
Dozens of people died when a bus caught fire in Kazakhstan. The Kazakh Interior Ministry said the death toll stands at 52, while just 5 people managed to escape the fire. The victims are all citizens of neighboring Uzbekistan. Local media report the bus had been traveling a route that migrant workers commonly use to get to and from Russia. Images from the scene in the Aktobe region near the Kazakhstan-Russia border show thick black smoke billowing from the back of the bus. A burnt-out hunk of metal is all that remains. It's still unclear what sparked the January 18th fire, but officials believe it was an accident.
Meanwhile, hundreds of marches and rallies are being held across the world today, all in support of women's rights and other equality issues. Many are taking place in the United States, with several happening in Canada as well. The events were planned in part to coincide with the anniversary of Donald Trump's inauguration.
Take a look now at the White House and the U.S. Capitol tonight.
It's where negotiations between the president and Congress reached a temporary budget bill, and that failed late tonight. And because of it, in just moments, the federal government will begin then a forced shutdown. Tomorrow is the one-year anniversary of Donald Trump's inauguration. He had planned a big party at his club in Florida to celebrate.
But instead, the man who wrote The Art of the Deal will instead mark the occasion with a budget and immigration deal that went down in flames. The White House is pushing back on who's to blame. Tonight, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders tweeted, "Democrats can't shut down the booming Trump economy. Are they now so desperate they'll shut down the government instead? Hashtag Schumer shutdown."
The world is witnessing the resurgence of a strong and prosperous America. I'm here to deliver a simple message. There has never been a better time to hire, to build, to invest, and to grow in the United States. America is open for business, and we are competitive once again. America is the place to do business. So come to America, where you can innovate, create, and build. The United States will no longer turn a blind eye to unfair economic practices. I will always put America first, just like the leaders of other countries should put their country first also.
A huge earthquake off the Alaskan coast, 12:30 a.m. local time, Alaska Standard Time. Let me show you the maps. Here's what we're looking at. It's now an 8.2 magnitude quake. It happened about 150 miles to the southeast of Kodiak, Alaska. That's the island there off of the Alaskan coast. There is Anchorage, Juneau, of course. All these places are going to be looking at possible evacuations. Folks along the Alaskan coast, anyone near water, as we have tsunami warnings now for the entire coast of British Columbia and all of Alaska. So all of the Aleutian Islands, all of the Alaskan coast, all the way down to Vancouver.
Kabul is still reeling from shock a day after a suicide bomb attack killed more than 100 people and wounded at least 235. The strike saw Taliban militants drive an ambulance laden with explosives into a crowded street in what was considered to be one of the most secure parts of the Afghan capital. Every day there are fears of attacks here, and living has become very dangerous for everyone. It's not safe to live in Afghanistan anymore.
Shortly before sunset on Saturday, Turkey launched its air campaign on Afrin. Turkish officials had said all week that the operation was imminent. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan spoke just a few hours before the jets took off.
We will wipe out this corridor step by step, starting from the west. Afrin operation has de facto started in the field. This will be followed by Manbij. Since the promises made about Manbij have not been kept so far, nobody can say anything when we do what is necessary.
We're following breaking news. A train carrying Republican members of Congress to a retreat has been involved in a crash. The wreck so violent that lawmakers were thrown from their seats. The train hit a truck on the tracks in Virginia. You can see the truck there. Senator Jeff Flake told the Washington Post that 3 people were in the truck and that one of them is dead.
For an hour or so, the familiar face of the moon slipped on a blood-red mask.
a spooky transformation that delighted Luna fanatics, including a large group that gathered outside the Griffith Observatory, high in the hills above Los Angeles, to celebrate the celestial spectacle.